Hello teacher, how are you? I hope you're doing really great today. My name is Margarita Morales and today I'm going to present you my lesson plan for PDP. The PDP framework. This type of lesson helps teachers plan and deliver effective listening and reading lessons. This type of lesson motivates students during the whole class and it motivates an active participation before, while, and after the activities. So let's start. The class and section it's going to be for intermediate level. Teacher Joana Delgado. The book that we are going to use is American Inspiration, the unit number 2. The lesson is present continuous and action verbs. The date Friday 17 of 2020. Practitioner Ana Margarita Morales Orellana. The objective for this class is, by the end of this class, students will be able to write on their notebooks a 10-line summary about the reading what my family is doing, by using action verbs and present continuous with 80% of effectiveness. And we have the press stage, the schema activation. The schema activation purpose is activate students' previous knowledge. And the activity is guess the verb. First, the teacher will ask students to stand up, come to the middle of the classroom, and make two groups, Group A and Group B. Second, the teacher will ask to each group to choose a leader and be standing up in a specific place from the classroom. For example, Group A will be near the right side of the whiteboard, and Group B will be near the left side of the whiteboard. Third, the teacher will ask the leaders to be in front of their respective groups. Then, the teacher will whisper to each leader 5 verbs, one by one. Fourth, both leaders have to mimic the verbs, and the members of each group have to guess them. Finally, the group that guesses more verbs will be the winner. When the activity finishes, students can come back to their seats. The time for this activity is going to be 4 minutes, and the materials, we don't need material for this activity. Then we have the vocabulary presentation. The vocabulary presentation purpose is to make students acquire new vocabulary. Vocabulary presentation is going to be a matching game. First, the teacher will paste on the board a big chart with 2 sides. In the right side, there will be written 5 action verbs: eat, cook, drive, dance, and play. And in the left side, there will be 5 pictures that represent the action of each verb. Second, the teacher will ask to one student what his or her favorite color, and depending on his or her answer, the teacher will see who is wearing that color. After that, the teacher will ask 5 students that are using that color to pass in front of the class. If no one is using that color, the teacher will ask for another color. Third, the teacher will tell them the following instruction. Student has to match the verb with the correct picture. Fourth, when students finish to do the exercise, they can come back to their seats. Finally, the teacher will check if the matching is correct, or if it is not, the teacher will fix the matching if it was not well done. The time for this activity is going to be 8 minutes, and the material we need is our chart, a board, and marker. Then we have the gist. The gist purpose is to develop listening and understanding students' ability. The gist activity repeated. First, the teacher will ask 2 students to stand up, come to the middle of the classroom, and make a circle. Second, the teacher will tell 2 students 8 things that she is doing at the moment of developing the activity. The teacher also will do the mimics of the action. For example, the teacher will perform that she's cooking and scrambled eggs, or that she is playing the piano. Third, when the teacher finishes to say and perform her 8 statements, the teacher will choose randomly 8 students in order that they choose a piece of paper that contains an activity in order to perform the action that is written in the piece of paper. Fourth, the teacher will say again the same sentences and do the actions. The teacher will ask 2 students to repeat the sentences and then do the actions after her. Fifth, the teacher will ask 2 students to come back to their seats. So this activity is going to be during 5 minutes, and the materials that we need are going to be pieces of paper. During stage. In the during stage, we have the listening and reading number 1. The purpose is to make students identify action verbs. The reading number 1, circle the verb. First, the teacher will ask to the students to get in pairs, then she will give to each pair of students a worksheet about the passage what my family is doing. Second, the teacher will ask 2 students to read the passage and circle the action verb that they find. Students can use colors for circling the action verbs. For example, Peter is playing computer games in this bedroom. So here the action verb is playing, that's why it's in red color. Third, the teacher will ask randomly to each pair of students to say aloud the action verbs that they found in the passage. The time is going to be 5 minutes, and the materials we need a worksheet, crayons or pencil, and eraser. Then in the listening and reading number 2, the purpose is to improve students' ability to analyze a text. Reading true or false. First, the teacher will give to each student a worksheet about the passage, What is my family doing? The worksheet is about some statements based on the reading. Second, students have to read the statements based on the passage and decide whether they are true or false. Students have to practice the scanning technique in the reading in order to know if the statements are true or false. Third, if the statements about the passage are true, students have to write the word true next to each statement, and if the statements are false, students have to write the word false next to each statement. Fourth, when students finish to do the activity, the teacher will read aloud each statement and she will ask to everybody if the statement is true or false. The teacher will ask 2 students to say the answer aloud. The time for this activity, it's going to be 5 minutes, and the materials that we need are worksheet, pencil, and eraser. Listening number 3. The listening number 3, the purpose is to use the present progressive to describe what they are doing at a specific moment in time. Reading number 3, sentences about my life. First, the teacher will give to each student a worksheet about the reading, What is my family doing? Then the teacher will ask students to take their pencil and eraser. After that, the teacher will explain the instructions to students. The worksheet has 8 action verbs in the right side of the page. The task of the student is to write 8 sentences using those verbs. Having finished their work, the teacher will ask 2 students to share the information, and students will share the information one by one. They will do it according to the number from the attendance list. The time we need for this activity it's 8 minutes, and the materials are worksheet, pencil, and eraser. Then we have the pause activity, and in the pause stage is the transfer activity. The purpose of this activity is to concrete the main objective of the class. Pause. making a summary. Firstly, the teacher will ask two students to take out their notebooks and pencils. Second, the teacher will ask two students to make a summary of 10 lines based on the reading. Then the students will have to include the action verbs and some important details about the reading. Finally, the teacher will ask two students to stand up and bring their notebooks and come to the middle of the classroom. Then the teacher will ask two students to make a circle. Moreover, the teacher will ask two students to share the information to the whole class. The teacher will choose randomly who is going to start to share his or her information. Then that student will choose another classmate and so on. The time for this activity it's going to be 10 minutes and the materials that we are going to use are notebooks and pencils. And remember that the PDP lesson plan is for the receptive skills. So this is the end of my presentation for my lesson plan of PDP framework.